What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Doing something different this year. OOTP 23 just came out. Perfect Team's actually coming out tomorrow. I almost said April, May 3rd. But we're not doing a perfect team build or anything like that this year. Maybe we are, but not right now. That's not what this is about. I'm going to do my first channel OOTP franchise. Now, I've done them on my Twitch channel. I did my Tigers rebuild of the 90s. We started in 1995 and basically went from 95 to '06 to see if I could give, basically a better outcome than the actual Tigers had before they got good, and then had that big winning window there that unfortunately didn't result in a World Series, but 2 World Series appearances and a lot of division titles, a lot of success. And then I have my current Austin Armadillos expansion team, which we talk about on Twitch regularly. In fact, we just made the playoffs, and so we'll be doing that on Twitch here soon. But I want to do a YouTube team where we kind of go through everything and see if we can build a club. Now, it's not a full scale rebuild. I will say this team that I've picked is decent. We're working with some talent. They do have challenges, though. This is not. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I'll tell you, it's not a Baltimore. It's not an Oakland. It's not a Colorado. Okay, so the team that I'm going to be doing here, drum roll that I don't have, is the Marlins. So we're going to be working with the Miami Marlins. Obviously, I'm wearing a Florida Marlins hat here, a little old school action. But we're going to go with the Marlins. And I think, listen, I know the Texas Red Bulls kind of fell off. Same with my $10 team. The 2 perfect team things I've done had some traction. The people that watched, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. The support was great. It was never anything about like, oh, no one's watching, so I'm not doing it. The people who watched were awesome, and I greatly appreciated that. It was more, I didn't really have a good setup of kind of how to build suspense and create storylines and do different things that weren't just so dictated on, do we make the playoffs or not? Or do we do player changes or not? Because it's kind of that same set every week. It's like, season is Monday through Saturday, Sunday's the playoffs. But then if I make the playoffs, how exactly do I kind of take y'all through the playoffs? Now, obviously, with the franchise, I'm in control of everything. So we can kind of set it up however we want. If I'm in the playoffs, I can go game by game, pitch by pitch, things like that. So, Marlins, this is what we're doing. Dontrell Willis is the man in charge. This is not what Dontrell Willis looks like, but that's okay. I did go through and generate pictures for everybody. Bruce Sherman is our guy here. He wants to play 500 ball, upgrade at third base, keep building the team, reach the playoffs in the next 5 years. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. That's some doable stuff. Let's get into some of the settings here, give you an idea of what I'm doing here. Listen, I'm not a Stars fan, okay? I know some folks out there are. That ain't for me. I like to have the numbers. I like to go in the increments of 5. So we got the 20/80 across the board here on the current, potential, and other ratings, but then the 20 to 80 on the values here with the increments of 5. Go past, if somebody's got 95 stuff, I want to know that. I like when people break the scale, so to speak. Got the coaching system, we'll do that. Let's see, contract extensions allowed, cohesion. Coach cohesion's kind of interesting. I think normal's fine. I haven't really ever done without it, so I don't really know, or done it outside of normal, so I don't really know how much of an impact that has. Nothing else really to see there. Players of face gen. Now, got to make some decisions here. I am in my Austin Armadillos franchise right now, and we're on normal injuries, and we get plenty, man. We get plenty. I'm not sure that you really need to up the degree of difficulty by making more injuries. I'm all for, and we'll get to it here in a moment, making it harder to get trades and things like that. That's fine. Talent acquisition, we don't want it to be easy. We don't want to be overstuffed with talent to where we've got a bunch of like 55s in AAA because we don't have enough space for them. That gets tired pretty quickly. But as far as injuries, I feel that enough crop up with the standard setup. Okay, maybe we alter it down the line. But I rarely find myself saying, you know what I wish would happen? I wish I'd have more devastating injuries. We bought Alberto Mondesi off the free agent market for the Dillos. My man has been uh, injured for 5 months in back-to-back seasons. It's just devastating. So we'll do that. I like the occasional delayed diagnosis. We can have some suspensions. Position player fatigue on average. It's never really been something I've considered changing. I like the personality profile. I like to see the ratings there on the page, so we'll do all of that. Show the player nicknames. Not to just keep bringing up my Dillos, but we did the draft yesterday on Sunday, the first, May 1st, and the draft had some of the best nicknames. These guys, I was like, what is this, 1900s? Like, these were some old school nicknames. So, like, the guy name was Sticky Bristol. Like, it was John or something. I don't know his regular first name, but then Sticky was his nickname. I can't remember the other ones, but there were some really good ones. Now, this is where I'm curious about making some changes here. Now, I wish I knew what the default is, because if it's still kind of like mid 20s, 25 to 27, we could go younger because the game's going younger. Now, that doesn't mean that guys, can't become stars and develop in their late 20s the way it used to be. I mean, when I first started playing fantasy baseball, there was literally an age 27 breakout like notion, and people thought that just magically being 27 was going to make you break out. There were articles, I don't know really how many podcasts there were back when this was still a thing, maybe some, but like it was a thing. It's like, oh, he's 27 and so I'm going to draft him just because of that. It was like, okay, that's interesting. The dark ages of fantasy baseball. Now, talent change randomness, I like talent change randomness. I like when somebody kind of pops off and becomes something big. Now, we don't want it to be crazy. I don't want superstars becoming scrubs. I don't want no-name 28-year-olds who are in AA popping off to become Hall of Fame caliber for 3-4 years either. So let's just go with a 125. We'll add to the talent change randomness, but we're not going to make it crazy, okay? But as far as everything else, I think I'll leave it here. I'll tell you what, I'm going to add a little bit to the development, because I do think that, guys, I think development is better in the game today, just generally speaking. So I'm gonna add to that, and I'm gonna lower the aging a little bit. We'll change both of these, and we'll kind of expand things a little bit. We'll get you developed quicker, and then we'll slow it out here. I like a plateau. I know the aging curve, I think the general aging curve is basically just straight down, meaning that you come to the league as your best, generally speaking, right? There's cases, there's outliers for everything. This is the whole of baseball. I don't remember the last time Jeff Zimmerman, my colleague at Fangraphs, ran the numbers, but I think the last time it was basically you are your peak right when you get to the majors and within that first like 2-3 year window, and then you just start to age kind of straight down. From there forward. So we'll see how this goes. I think this is something new. I've never done this. I've never really changed. I think one time on one of my sims, I don't know which one, would have been one last year, maybe randomly on Twitch, where I added the dev, I think, to like 115 or 120 for both pitchers and batters, but I didn't change the aging at all. And so we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Maybe it gets a little wild. I don't know. We'll see. Now, I will make trading a little bit harder. I'll go one click up. I find so far in 23 that it is already a little difficult, but, we've also had some trades within the Dillos porting it over from 22 that I was like, maybe I should be getting this much talent for that. But you never know, too, right? You can't judge anything off a one-off trade because team context matters. And I think the guy that we got was making a little bit of money, but because we were rich, I didn't really care. Or because we had a lot of money. We aren't rich, but the weirdest thing about the Tigers one was we were so poor. It was so frustrating. Everything was money related. So having some money with the Armadillos, I consider myself rich, even though we're probably just kind of a middle of the pack bankroll team. Let's see, anything else that we want to change here? Probably not in here, but maybe in here, the league settings, right? Am I in the right area? I get mixed up pretty easily within the game. And that's mostly because I don't remember everything. It's also a little bit cumbersome at times, right? Getting in and kind of figuring things out is the best way to really learn this game. Also, one more thing, at least right now, because I'll probably still mention the Dillos like 5 more times. But they had an automatic league change, like where they changed the rule down to 38-man secondary roster. Oh my God, it's a pain in the butt. Losing those 2 spots, oh, just an absolute pain. I like all this though. 26, we'll do that. Expanded initial rosters, we'll go with that. It's kind of fun. So we'll have 28 to start. I know that's a COVID-based thing, and in our little fictional world here, there is no COVID, so it's probably not necessary to have this. But let's go with it. Let's go with it like it's real life. Spring training rosters, you can have 60, 50. Okay. All right, we got all of that. I am going to be changing some things about real life off rip. I will say that, and we'll get to them in a moment. I will say, for example, I don't mind if injured guys are traded. Actually, I feel like, can injured guys be traded in real life? I mean, it defaults to off, so maybe not, but I thought you could. I kind of want to do draft pick trading, but I'll tell you what. How about first year we don't? But I'd like to hear from the comments what y'all think about that. I like it. I've done it before. I think we actually turned it on in the Tigers rerun. So that was, a little ahistorical that obviously you can't do that. And we had that as an option to us, probably part of why we were able to be more successful than the actual Tigers. But I also just didn't draft a reliever with the #1 overall pick at Anderson. So, there's also that. We got the draft on July 11th. What's regional rounds? Regional rounds are interesting. No, we're not going to do that. But that's what does any league do that? Regional rounds are rounds of the draft where teams are limited to regions as specified in the team setup. Huh. That's really interesting. Speaking of, by the way, I'm watching the actual Marlins game is on my iPad here right now, and they're showing the tacos for Taco Tuesday, and holy crap, they look amazing. I just ate, so I'm not even hungry. They're just looking good in general. I'll say that right now. I'm not going to mess with any of this or any of that. Allow major league deals for draft picks. No, I'm cool with that. We'll leave that off too. Financials. No, I'm not going to mess with the financials. I am not smart enough to be messing with any of that. Definitely love the automatic evolution. Funny things happen. Weird things happen. I like when teams move. In one we did last year for early in the summer, the Tiger, or excuse me, not the Tigers. Tigers moved to my Armadillos one. There's another Armadillos mentioned. But in one I was doing, I forget what team it even was. Oh, it was just a standard Tigers one, starting from the beginning of 2021. Seattle moved to Austin, which is actually where I live, and they started popping off. And I was like, how sick would that be in real life? I get a pro team that I get to go watch, and like Kelenic was beasting in that one. Logan Gilbert, Julio Rodriguez, Emerson Hancock, George Kirby, like they became awesome. So that was really cool. I want to do this at some point, promotion and relegation. I'm not going to do it for this one, but whether it's a Twitch one or another one on the channel here on YouTube, I'm going to do this at some point because I really, really want to try a promotion and relegation system, but not right now. So I tell you what, I'm not going to allow pitchers to win most valuable player. This is just one of my hobby horses, folks, okay? I don't like that the MVP and the Cy Young are given equal weight, basically in terms of, say, cachet for players or their Hall of Fame chances and things like that. And yet pitchers can win both, and hitters obviously can only win one because they're not Cy Young. Now, pitchers hardly ever win the MVP. I get that. But I wish there was a world where Cy and Hank Aaron award were on the same level, and then the MVP was atop that. So these two both have 9 out of 10 cachet, and then the MVP's 10 if you're weighting them or whatever. So since it's not like that right now, I'm leaving the MVP just for hitters, the Cy just for pitchers. Reliever can win it. They probably won't. We'll change this to the Mariano Rivera award. And a trend that I've been doing in my other leagues, I will continue here. and I will name this the Pedro Martinez Award. The Rookie of the Year award, we'll leave that as the Rookie of the Year. I like Platinum Stick. I think that's actually pretty good, but I'll go Gold Glove. Silver Slugger's pretty cool too, but Platinum Stick's kind of neat. Manager of the Year, pardon me. I'll just leave it. I don't really give a shit. And Foreigners may win. Yeah, I'm actually okay with this. You know, I know people get bent out of shape when a Jose Abreu or an Ichiro comes in and they're an established stud and they win it, and it's like, yeah, okay, but they're rookies, you know. It's part of it. I don't know. You're picking and choosing. Like, is it fair for Juan Soto to come in the league as good as he is? I mean, did he even win Rookie of the Year? I might be talking on my ass there. Surely he did. He's so good. He had to have. He finished second. Who the hell beat him? What the hell? Oh, Ronald Acuna Jr. That guy's pretty good too. But yeah, like, look at how good those guys were. You know, it's just like some. It's not the same thing. I'm not trying to equate the two. I'm just not bothered by people coming over from their other league, because here's the thing. Japanese league is not the majors. Neither is Cuba. They're like maybe quad A, like where they're better than AAA, but not quite the majors. But they're not the majors, so they're coming into the harder league. This is the hardest, best league in the world. That is undisputed. That is not a knock on the JPL. That is not a knock on the KBO. That is not a knock on Cuban baseball, Mexican league. None of it. It is simply fact. It is MLB is the best of the best. Nobody disputes that. So because they're coming from a lesser league into the majors, why can't they win it? Just because they're very talented over there? I mean, look at how good Ha-Seong Kim was over in KBO, and look at how he played last year. Now, he's on track this year, and I'm actually a huge fan. I'm not denigrating him. But, you know, Eric Thames went over to the KBO, and he was God tier. And then he comes back here, and he was good. He was solid for a few years, but he wasn't God tier going like 40-30 the way he did over there. So that's a diatribe that was unnecessary, but there you go. I'll leave all this stuff. I think this is still pretty good. I'll tell you what, though. Oh, wait, it's already lowered. Career wins, 200. Good. So OOTP's on top of that there, because, yeah, like 300 wins. With the way wins are counted the way wins are these days, where guys don't go 6 or 7, 8, 9 all of the time, you can't get those dubs. And it's not because guys are wimps or they're not tough enough to go deep into games. It's how they've been trained. If the game stuck with the same model of, hey, you need to figure out how to get a minimum of 7 innings every time out, then we wouldn't have velos where they are, but guys could do it. Like, these pitchers are so much better than anybody from than most guys from back in the day, that the idea that, like, they're wimpier now, or whatever dumb shit Goose Gossage would probably say, is insane. It's insane. You take a mid-tier guy from today and you throw him back in the 60s, and he'd win like 35 games, like, with his eyes closed. Like, just take him as is. I'm trying to think of somebody. Take Kyle Wright, who's actually like breaking out this year. Put him back in the 60s. He'd have been a god. He'd have been so unbelievably good. Now, I'm not saying that guys from back in the day are clowns and they wouldn't be good in today's era. Like, I don't think Bob Gibson is some punk who, couldn't hang in today's game. I'm just saying the notion that players are worse today because they don't go as many innings or that they're wimpy, I don't subscribe to that shit. All right, what are we looking at here? Nothing I want to change. We'll leave all this stuff at 1.0. All this looks good. Automatically expand the league? No, only if it happens, right? I think I have it where it can happen. Yeah, it can happen, but I'm not trying to make it expand on purpose. And then I don't think there's anything else I'm like dying to change here. I think everything else is pretty good. I kind of want to change this, but I'll leave it. On the whole, I am still trying to emulate real life, but I would be interested in maybe like a -3, where maybe we push pitchers a little bit more, because I do think that they could stand to be pushed a little bit more. Maybe dial back the velo just a smidge in terms of going all out, because that's the reason that guys don't go 5 or 6 is because they're told to empty the tank. Back in the day, the reason that it was different is like your tank needs to get you 8. And like, again, like 7, 8 at a minimum, ideally 9, so you know when to press the gas and when to decelerate. Today, it's like you go till the tank's empty. If that's 4 1/3, okay, we'll go to the bullpen because we got 6 guys who throw 97, and that's okay. So that's why it's such a difference. Again, I know I'm beating a dead horse and nobody's arguing against me, but it's like it's not because they're lamer or that they can't handle it or anything like that. They're not soft or whatever that any bullshit that you might hear from like a Goose Gossage or some old school type player. So anyway, I think those are the rules that we're gonna go with. We might. What was the one I said we might eventually do? I don't remember. I thought there was one that I said we might end up changing down the line, but now I can't even remember it. So we're probably not going to change it. Hard to change something that you can't freaking remember. Oh, the draft pick trading. The draft pick trading. Put your thoughts on that in the comments. Maybe we'll turn that on for 2023. Because I think that'd be kind of interesting. If you think it's like the dumbest thing ever, let me know. I don't want to like ruin anybody's experience. I doubt it would. It seems like a pretty innocuous thing. I doubt we would trade for that many or trade many of our picks, but I think it's kind of interesting. So let's look at the team. Let's get to the team here. We have 3 catchers on the roster. Hate that for us, but that'll be all right. Let's look at the organization first. Let's go. We'll start with the lineup. We got these 3 catchers here. We got Willens Astudillo, who I forgot was in their org. I don't even know if he still is. I'm actually going to look it up real quick because I'm somewhat curious if Willens Astudillo is still in their org or if he's just hurt or if he's in the minors or what. He does still list under Marlins at Roto World. He got reassigned to AAA. Okay, so he's just in the minors chilling. Okay, La Tortuga. Is that... Wait. I said show nicknames. They don't have La Tortuga in there? Come on. Get that in there. There we go. He can't catch, though. I'm more inclined to use him as like a utility fielder, and that's why if he's going to be on the team, we need 3 catchers. So I made fun of that instantly, but I'm actually going to take the L there because I don't think we should have 3 catchers. So that's totally okay. Oh, I wonder if... Here, can I do this real quick? I just want to change the default because I noticed that when I went onto it, it sorted by I, and I don't want that. Okay, that's fixed. So let me take off the morale. I don't really need the morale. And then save it again. And then go away from it. And then go back to it. Boom. Okay, cool. I forgot that when you save it, it saves by whatever you're sorted by, which makes sense, but I don't want that. So anyway, we got Lorenzo Quintana. He is a 45 catcher, so he should not be our backup catcher either. Stallings is a G, but I think Henry's got to come up. So that might be our first move off rip is Quintana for Henry. He has options. I almost wish, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just my own brain, but I wish this was options available because I see 0 and I was like, oh, I can't send him down, but it's options used. So I absolutely can. In fact, we're going to make that move right away. Peyton Henry, you're already up, buddy. How many spots do we have on the 40? We got 5. Okay, we're cooking. We got spots for days. Now, we do have a premium ass catcher in Jacob Stallings, and that is something that you will find throughout this team or throughout this sim. We're going to have a good catcher. You have to be pretty exemplary everywhere else to succeed, to be on this team with a 50 ability. The starting point is generally 55 unless you've just got some real reasons to keep you on otherwise. I start at a 55. I'm usually looking for 60, 65. So the fact that we open with a 70 is great. Jesus Aguilar is a favorite of mine. I really like him as a player. He's just a fun player. And, he was on my fantasy team last year. I played in something called the main event on the NFBC, and I won my league. And I don't say that just to humble brag. It's not even a humble brag. It's just a straight up brag. But I've developed extra affinity for those guys, and two Marlins were key on the team, Jesus Aguilar and Pablo Lopez. So that group of players is going to keep a special spot in my heart for a while because it's kind of like the World Series of Poker type of deal. Think about every every league in the main event is kind of its own table, so to speak, and then we're all playing for a grand prize. So all the leagues together are their own giant league. It's called the overall. I didn't win the overall. I finished 32nd out of like 650 teams, but I did win my league, which is very cool, and I'm very happy about it. This year, we'll see. It's off to a not so great start, sitting ninth through the first month because AJ Hinch hates Akil Badu. That's not the only reason, but, that's annoying the hell out of me. Anyway, back to the Marlins. I'm sorry for the sidetrack there. Garrett Cooper, solid hitter. Definitely somebody who can contribute to this squad. I think he's got a platoon rating, doesn't he? Or a platoon split. Yeah, he's a good bit better, at least on the 10 points of contact. He can play against both sides, certainly. It's not like he can only be short side. Lewin Diaz, this is a guy I really like too. And to me, Lewin kind of makes Cooper a bit expendable, right? Because we got Aguilar, Cooper, Lewin, and right, left. Do we need two 31-year-old righties, or should we have a righty and a lefty? What do you think? So I think that Garrett Cooper might not be long for this team, even though I like him, and he's a 55. He is better than Lewin, but let's develop Lewin and get Cooper maybe elsewhere here. Jazz, obviously Jazz is the potential superstar here. 24 years old, one of the most exciting players in the game. Very much a Javi Baez type profile, which does have volatility to it with the avoid Ks being low, but at least he has a decent enough contact to kind of counterbalance it. Where you really get in trouble is if you're 40 or below on contact and avoid Ks. Then you're really just going to have that volatility. So we need to keep him making decent enough contact to sustain the Ks. And then obviously if he had a bad eye too, that would just be a real disaster. At least he's got a 50 eye, 50 contact that can sustain a 40 power, or excuse me, a 40 avoid K. He's got excellent power, wonderful speed, strong defense, particularly at second. Could play short, and I feel like with 60, 55, 55, 60, I feel like this would go up, but it doesn't have the extra there. So maybe not. Maybe he is just max 45 at shortstop. That's okay. We don't need him to be the shortstop. Joey Wendell is a good little player right here. I know that's a weird terminology, like good little player. Like he's not little. Like he's 6'1", 200. His size is not in question, but we know what that terminology means. Like he's not a star, but he's a quality contributor is what you mean. Or the phrase like professional hitter. Well, they're all professional. I know. I'm not saying that they're not, but that these terms, we know what they mean. In fact, I would use that for Wendell. I would say, he's a professional hitter. What that means, they always take strong at-bats. They usually have good contact and or a decent eye. Actually, no. I think to be considered like he's a real professional hitter, it's usually contact, don't strike out much. They might have a good eye as well. As you can see here, he only has the 35. He doesn't walk much, but he's always going to go up there and grind out a strong at-bat. He can play a bunch of spots. He's kind of like a baby Zobrist for us. He's not as good as Zobrist, especially with the defense. But, he got a little Ben Zobrist vibe to him. I think he's going to be a useful player for us. BA, Brian Anderson, another guy that I really like. Tough year last year. Injuries really got the best of him. He was still about a league average guy with a 99 OPS plus. 100, of course, is average. So he's a solid player. And we can definitely take on the 45 avoid Ks because everything else is so strong. He got third and right, which is nice as well. I like infield, outfield, gives that extra diversity there. Miggy, we got Miggy Rowe here. I know everyone named Miguel is nicknamed Miggy. Miggy Rowe, as I called him, is actually his nickname. And I'm a Tigers fan through and through. So Miggy, there's one Miggy, and that's Miguel freaking Cabrera, who also was a Marlin. So the worlds are linking up there. But Miggy Rowe is a nice player. Now, this is actually the prototypical professional hitter that I'm talking about. Contact, gap, doesn't strike out, always up there grinding, usually hits for a pretty solid average. And in this case, beloved by the team. Not always, right? Not everyone that gets the professional hitter tab is necessarily a beloved team leader, but Miggy Rowe happens to be, and he's going to be our shortstop, and he's why I don't need Jazz Chisholm to necessarily develop beyond this 45 year, because he can be our second baseman. Our keystone is hot, baby. We are good to go. John Birdie, utility guy. speedster off the bench, can play anywhere, defensive substitute in some cases. I like him. He's all right. I think he can stick around for right now. Looking in the outfield, okay, I see that they've got Victor Mesa with a starting role off rip coming directly from Double A. That's adorable. That is definitely not happening. He is certainly not developed enough for that. Let's get a full scouting report on him. We'll go ahead and do that, but no shot, man. No shot. No offense. Like this is not a negative on him, but you're not skipping AAA. You just don't got it like that, right? You got to be pretty good to do that, and Victor Mesa just doesn't have that. I'm more inclined to let Blade up from day one because I think he'd be a better fit. But even that, I don't think I'm going to do. We'll see what happens. Let's go back to the team. And, I mean, we already have, we need to put headers down in the minors anyway. Like, who's Brian Miller? I do not know this man. He's got great speed, great defense in the outfield. I love it. You know, he's kind of a Victor Mesa as well. Like, he offers what Victor Mesa does. He's 26. He's somebody who I think could be on the, AAA Express, one of those guys that you call up and down as you need him for outfield injuries. But I don't think he's with the club from day one. Now, I don't think in the initial season that you have spring training, right? I think you just go directly to opening day. Yeah, so with that being the case, we can start situating the actual Major League Ball club. That's still 15 hitters. That's still somebody going down. And like I said, it could be a Garrett Cooper trade. Continuing on with meeting the club here, Brian De La Cruz. This is a good little hitter too, man. Solid hitter. Again, nothing little about him. 6'2", 175. Solid guy. Right now, with the way things are popping off in real life, he's having trouble finding playing time because they got Soler, Sanchez, and I'm missing somebody. Who am I missing? Oh, Avi, who we're going to get to. So there's just no room at the end for De La Cruz to get consistent playing time right now, and I get it. You know, you brought in Soler and Avi to be major contributors, and Jesus has been a beast and plays a true center. Now, De La Cruz plays a better center, I'm pretty sure. Let me see what they've got here. No, maybe I'm underselling him. I mean, he's only a 45, but he's got solid enough ratings. So I'm underselling Jesus in center, but he is a great fourth outfielder. If this guy if he's our fourth outfielder for most of the year and we don't need to rely on him too heavily, that's a win because he's a good player. I could see a scenario though where he gets plenty of burn because remember they had Victor Mesa starting, which I don't agree with. So if we put Avi out and right, let's put Jesus at center. Oh, I can't make the moves. Oh no, is Don Mattingly a punk? He doesn't let me do anything. Let me click on him. Oh no, I can do. Oh, hang on. Oh, we'll get to this in a minute. But I'm going to change this right now. But we'll get to what I'm going to do with that in a minute. I knew I was forgetting something that I always look at initially. Let's get back to it here. But let's just briefly set this up with how I think it's going to look. De La Cruz should probably spell Soler, though, in the outfield. Yeah. Soler does not need to be in the outfield. No shot. Okay, there we go. That's looking right. What's his outfield defense? Better in the corners. I think we'll put Birdie in the corners. And then De La Cruz can be the backup center fielder. I think that's what it's looking like against righties. But anyway, let's look at our last two guys. Two new additions to the ball club this year. Or wait, no, I didn't look at Soler yet. Right? Soler, stud. Just a power monster, you know. Really got going with Atlanta and obviously had a tremendous playoff. Became a lot more known in the baseball landscape if you watched the playoffs last year with some monstrous homers. He's just a quality player, and you know, I've learned so much about the game and how teams operate and things just by playing this game, and really about players and player development and performance as well. And this is a great player example of that. He's a 45. 50's average on the 20/80 scale. You might think 40 is because it's in the middle, but it's 50. 50 is considered league average. So 45 is technically below average. Well, that also encompasses everything. And so the fact that he's a bad defender and a mediocre speedster, okay, you can understand why that comes in at a 45. But if you see, for example, on like a prospect page, I work at Fangraphs for those that don't know, doing the fantasy stuff, and our prospect guys are awesome and they write all the reports. You see a 45, you're like, that's below average. That guy might suck. If you instantly think that, you got to reassess how you feel about 40s and 45s, because those guys, with opportunity, the range of outcomes on a 40 or 45 is still an all-star caliber season. I mean, he put up 48 homers with a 4 WAR season and a 139 OPS plus. That's incredible. And he probably might have been a 50 that year, but he wasn't a 55 talent that year. He was probably still a 45, to be quite honest, but maybe he was a 50. But the bottom line is, last year he was certainly 45 coming in, and he played. And this is a great showcase of range of outcomes too, because it's split so nicely between the two stops that he had. With KC, things weren't really going well, and actually his underlying numbers were really there. And that my podcast co-host Justin Mason was really keyed in on this, because we had a discussion, I remember, and I was like, should people be cutting Jorge Soler? Because I'm not really there, and I'm kind of bugging out on him. And he's like, nah, dude, you got to look under the hood. And to his credit, and to my detriment, I had not fully looked under the hood. But before I cut him, we had that convo, so I made sure, I listened to him. I said, okay, I won't cut him. He goes to Atlanta, he beasts out, and I was like, nicely done. But anyway, it shows you how things can turn too over the course of a season, and why. Another thing this game has taught me is the patience of a full season, because when you start simming and you want your guys to do well, you're 2 months in and they have an 80 OPS plus, you're like, this sucks, this guy's garbage, and I want to make a change. And it's like, well, you got to kind of trust the process a bit. I'm not saying never make a change when somebody's struggling, but you do need to kind of be aware of the fact that those samples really do need to stabilize. They need to get the full gameplay to kind of figure out where players are. So anyway, Jorge Soler, sorry for the diatribe there on player talent and everything, but he's a good player. He should be good for us. He can DH. We don't really need him to play defense. We do need our other newcomer, Avisail Garcia, to play defense, though, and he's quite good at it. He was always called Baby Miggy in Detroit, mainly because he looked like him. It kind of set an unreasonable expectation for Avi that really wasn't fair, because people would hear Baby Miggy and they were like, well, why don't you play like Miggy yet? And, when are you going to start playing like Miggy? It's like, never, MF, for that. Miguel Cabrera is an inner circle Hall of Famer. Expecting anybody to start playing like him is absolutely insane. Like, that's just not going to happen. So that was an unfair weight to kind of put on Avisail Garcia. And he's been a solid player, and he's more of a 50, because similar batting profile to Soler, but better, much better defender. You can put him in the defense, in a defensive position, left field or right field, or even center. He can fake center, but you can put him on either corner every day and feel comfortable with that. So I like Avi quite a bit. Jesus Sanchez, young up and comer, off to a pretty good start in real life. Actually, let's check how he's been. I haven't checked his numbers in a few days. Numbers are still very volatile this season. We're on May 2nd, and we're still in that stage where 2-3 good games in a row can still turn your numbers around completely. And, an 0 for 12 in 3 games can also turn your numbers around quite a bit. So we're still in those very volatile stages. And Sanchez is off to a solid start, 138 WRC plus. I only say solid instead of excellent. 138 is excellent, but 30% strikeout, 7% walk. Under the hood, it's a little bit more sketchy. A 362 BABIP is certainly carrying some weight there. I think Jesus Sanchez will probably be closer to like a 115 WRC plus, OPS plus type guy this year. By the way, those two are pretty interchangeable. I prefer WRC plus because I work at Fangraphs. That's a stat that I believe we came up with. I'm not 100% sure, but it's kind of our default. But between the two, if you're using OPS plus and someone tries to chastise you and be like, you need to be using WRC plus, tell them to relax. The differences aren't that sharp to where you're going to be completely misjudging a player based on their OPS plus, and then WRC plus is going to tell you a different story. There's minimal differences. I think WRC plus has been shown to be a little bit more predictive year to year, so it's a little bit more stable. But the minimal point differences tell you that you can use either. Anyway, Jesus is a beast. He kind of has an Avi, a peak Avi outlook right now, right? Let's compare them because they're really not looking terribly different right now. But the fact that they're 6 years apart, so we have the younger guy in Sanchez who's a bit more raw, but also has a bit more upside. So you can see here he's got a little bit more contact, a little bit more gap, a little less home run power, same plate skills. And then look at the defense. And then, so yeah, you got a little bit more range because he's faster, younger, and then similar arm and similar error. So that makes sense. I think that's an interesting way to kind of view it too, is that Jesus is a little bit younger, higher upside Avi right now, whereas if he just becomes Avi, we got no problem with that. Avi's coming off a hell of a season with 29 homers. And then his last full season before that was a 20 homer campaign. So, and then 19 before that. I mean, he has established himself as a quality above average hitter. And if we got that from Jesus for the next several years, wouldn't be mad about it. Wouldn't be mad about it. Maybe could even spike a peak Soler year, though. In fact, so could Avi. I think either of them could spike a peak Soler season. So that's the offense. Let's meet the pitchers. Now this is where we win, folks. This is where things get hot. Let's just do pitching potentially. I haven't set up my pitching rate. I know I want to do pitching ratings. I haven't set up my my view for that yet. Pardon me. I'll get all my views set up here. So I've got a few of them going. I mean, this is more than a few, but I had so many in 22 and bringing them all over. Is there any way to like port them over? Because I've had to redo them and I've just not taken the time to make sure I got all of them. But let's dive in to the strength of this ball club, the starting pitching. My NL Cy Young pick this year, Sandy Alcantara. He's been doing pretty well. Look, Julio got him on the weekend. If you follow the Marlins, he got, and that's okay. I thought it was, I have no problem with Mattingly keeping him in, letting him challenge the youngster. I thought the intentional walk of Toro to get to J-Rod was a little curious. There were 2 outs, and J.P. Crawford hit a double, so runner on second, 2 outs. Do you really need to walk Toro to put the force in order? I don't think so. Toro had a 61 WRC plus coming into that at-bat. I don't think you need to intentionally walk him. You let Sandy go at him. Instead, they walk him. They go to J-Rod, who has not been great to start the season outside of his 9 stolen bases, but like is still a beast, or at least a beast in the making. So I don't know. And he got. But I love Sandy. I think he's an absolute monster. Obviously, he's going to need to turn it around a bit and push forward to get a Cy Young. But I really do like him. And it's not like even with that bad outing, he's off to a bad start. He has a 2.90 ERA, but a 1.29 WHIP, and the strikeouts haven't really been excellent just yet. He has a 21% K rate on the season in real life. Hopefully Sandy can beast out for us. He is the ace. Love him and have big expectations for him. We're going to go in the order of how I view these guys. And I got Pablo Lopez second here. Now, his injury proneness is only normal, which we'll take. Probably should be whatever the second level is. I know there's fragile and wrecked. I don't know. I know, and then there's durable. Is it durable, normal, fragile, wrecked, or is there one in between normal and fragile? Because he's probably a little bit more sketchy with that shoulder because it's been a persistent issue. Then I would just say normal, but the talent, unquestioned, absolute stud. I mentioned how great he was last year for my fantasy team. Problem was once he was gone, and that was a bummer. But yeah, the 102 and 2/3 of just excellent ground baller. We're going to need that quality keystone of Jazz and Miggy Rowe to turn all of the Lopez and Sandy ground balls into outs. Next up is Trevor Rogers. You can interchange Rogers and Lopez. I'm okay with that, however you feel between the two. And even Sandy's not that far ahead of them, but I figure I should probably have my Cy Young, my NL Cy Young pick ranked number one. So I'm going to go Sandy, Pablo, Rogers as far as the top three there. Look at this stuff, though. He's going to be getting punchies left and right. Had a brilliant year last year. Had a little family dilemma to deal with, problems to deal with there in the second half. That's why he missed some time. He ended up getting back and getting on track. And then he's been a little bumpy to start the real life season. Philly really got to him in a tough outing, but I have no concerns about T-Raj. He's a beast, and he's going to be a beast for us as well, I believe. Jesus Lizard, Jesus Luzardo. Nice trade. That was a nice trade for both teams. I understand why Oakland did that, and they didn't really sell low either. You know, he was worse. If he'd been pitching the way he was quote unquote supposed to or expected to, he probably would have netted something even more. Maybe like a prospect thrown in. Or actually, I don't even know if they'd have traded him at that point. It's hard to say. But like to suggest they sold low when they got Starling freaking Marte, who ended up being God tier for them. It was a rental, and I guess you could say that if Luzardo had been pitching the way he should have been, he wouldn't have gone for a rental hitter. But the caliber of player that he went for certainly was not lesser. So he came back. He did not do well with Miami either. But the people that really believed in him, they stuck with him in the fantasy world. I'm talking about, like, this is still my guy. I'm going with him, and credit to them, they've been rewarded so far. He looks like he's getting back on track. The interesting thing is I like Luzardo quite a bit, but I did think that his fantasy value coming into 21 was a bit too high. Not that I thought he was going to do that. Like, that's a cratering that nobody saw coming. I don't care. You can take the biggest Luzardo detractor and he's full of shit, or she's full of shit if they say they saw that meltdown of a season. I thought he was going a little too high, though, as like a top 95 pick in all of fantasy last year with what he'd done. I didn't think we'd seen quite enough. But I'm not even saying that to like backpat myself because he ended up not doing well. I'm only bringing that up because I was like, okay, there is still development to be done here, but like, what is this? This is just a lost season. And a phrase I like to use that I first heard from Ron Chandler, I don't know if he coined it, but it's stuck with me ever since, and I use it a lot. Prospect growth isn't linear. It's nice when a guy just goes plateaus, has their Hall of Fame career, and then retires. But it's a lot of times an EKG when they first come up. And it can be an EKG for their whole career. My buddy Jason Collette used to call it Saberhagenomics or Saberhagen metrics, because Brett Saberhagen had such an every other year type of mode to his whole career. This is a 2-time Cy Young winner. Injuries really got to Saberhagen, so that was part of it. But yeah, that's the thing. Prospect growth isn't linear. So we saw a little bit of a downturn last year. He's back up. And hell, even maybe next year at 25, he could go back down again, possibly. I mean, we don't even know how this year's going to finish for Luzardo, but you just never really know. He has a career. Let's see. How many career innings is that for Luzardo at this juncture? He has a whopping 186 2/3 innings under his belt. That is essentially a full season. It's spread out over 4 seasons, 12 innings back in 19, 59 and 20, 95 last year, and 20 so far this year. So it's nothing. It's nothing in the grand scheme of things in terms of judging who he is and where he's at. We're hoping to take him to another level. I want to actually get a little scouting report on him as well. I like this. I think this is new, right? That it gives you how long they're going to take to figure out things. And I think this is also new where you can click it and it does that. In fact, I want you to prioritize Luzardo. DJ Svilik. And our 5th starter is Eliezer Hernandez. And as a 5th starter, he's pretty darn good. I have a little bit of a negative outlook of him because I'm not a big fan in fantasy, and I think his home run problem gets overlooked. I'm a huge fantasy dweeb. If you're new here, I write about fantasy, talk about fantasy baseball for a living. So I see a lot of stuff through the prism of fantasy baseball. So it gives me a little bit of a negative outlook on Eliezer because with his home run issues, it makes it really difficult for him to be a good pitcher. In fact, 4.18 ERA is not bad last year, but a 132 WHIP, and that's not even the home runs. That's putting too many base runners on. He was actually fortunate, I think, to only have a 4.18 with that high of a WHIP and a 2.3 homer per 9. You were treading a fine line there. 1.8 back in the shortened season, but he only had 6 starts, so he escaped with a 3.16 ERA, and then a 5.03 back in 19 with a 1.24 WHIP and a 2.2 homer 9. So there are skills here without a doubt, and he pitches in the right park to at least help suppress some of Eliezer's issues because of the home run issue. But what does he have this year? A 2.7 homer per 9 so far, and he has a 5.75 ERA. So he's extreme fly ball with a home run issue. That is a rough combo. So thankfully we play in a park that can hopefully hide it a little bit, but there's going to be ups and downs with him as a 5th starter. And I'll tell you what, folks, we got some guys on the way that could put Eliezer in the bullpen sooner than later. And we'll get into them in a moment. But let's look at our bullpen right now. It's a bunch of 45s and 150. Now, I happen to think Anthony Bender is better than that, but they kind of disagree right now, and that's okay. He's an avid fisherman after all. I don't know how that relates, but I do like when they have the little personality traits right there. I think he's probably the best of our relievers. Or the most talented, maybe not. Maybe Tanner Scott's better just because he is the 50 after all, and he's double 70s here. So, I mean, I guess we can just not complicate it and make it. He also has the extreme ground ball. I guess the bigger issue with him has been his health and at times his command. He stayed healthy last year, but he couldn't command, so he gave up too many hits and way too many walks. That 40 can sometimes play as like a 25-30, it seems, and a 6.2 BB9. He's actually kind of fortunate, I think, to come in with a 40 right now. I wouldn't have even been surprised if they'd have given him a 30. So we'll take it. We'll take the 40. Don't regrade it. We will take that 40, and hopefully we can build on that and make him a stud for us. Sean Armstrong, solid, nothing particularly special, but definitely usable. Steve Okert, decent enough. Again, we play in a home ballpark that will mitigate some of this movement trouble here at a 45. Cole Sulser, pick up from, along with Tanner Scott, pick up from the Orioles. Does it say how they got him? For Kevin Guerrero and Antonio Velez. I'm actually not familiar with either of those guys, so I'm just going to be honest there and say I do not know who they are. Currently penciled in as our closer. I'm actually okay with that. I subscribe to the new age theory that your best pitcher, your best reliever needn't be your closer. You can save them for more fireman role. Now, going back to my fantasy brain, it does wreak havoc on fantasy people when the best pitcher isn't the closer. It's like one of those things where my heart hates it. I just use the best guy. My brain totally gets it. I'm a big Giovanni Gallegos fan, and I want them to just let him be the closer. Last year they eventually got to him after Reyes showed that he just walks too many guys, and he closed to end the season. And then he's come into the year as the closer. I'm like, just use him as the closer more often than not. But I get it. You should use him as a fireman because he's your best guy. And if the stickiest situation's in the 7th inning and that's where the game is going to be turned, bring in that best guy if they're ready to go and let somebody else try to deal with 3-run lead in the 9th or whatever the case may be. You never know what it's going to be in the 9th, but if you don't even get to the 9th, because without being down by 6 or 7, then maybe it's not a good idea, right? Too often guys, how many games in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s were lost because the closer was saved for the 9th, when if he'd have come in the hotter situation in the 7th or 8th, it might have been a dub. So we are going to subscribe to that, wherein Bender and then Floro when he gets off the IL and Tanner Scott might not necessarily be the closer. Sulser can be the guy. They can get the ball to him and keep that lead and get him in a better position to get saves. Anthony Bass is that type as well. In fact, he got, what did he get, like 20-something saves in a year? Or no, maybe not that many. Maybe I'm crazy on that. What's the most saves he's ever had in the season? I think I'm tripping. Oh, it's actually only 7. Okay, he was never really that much of a closer. But bottom line is, I think he could be somebody who can close as not the best reliever. He's a ground ball guy who can miss a decent number of bats. He's fine. He's not a stud. You put him in the 9th, people will be like, why is he the closer? It's like, because he can get the job done, and we want the other guys to be there when the heat is on. And I already showed Bender. He's going to be our stopper, which is essentially the fireman's role, in my opinion. I mean, he's a middle relief, used more often. That works too. That or stopper, either or. Oh, Jazz just made a sick play to score in the real life game. It's 5-4 now. The Marlins trying to make a comeback. Jeff Brigham here is a run of the mill, capable righty, 30 years old, 55, 55, 50. We'll take that all day. Frankly, I don't know how that's a 45. I'm gonna scout him just because I want to see a more accurate reading, because I just don't know how 55, 55, 50 would be a 45. I understand the stamina, sturdy, but in the context of a reliever, and apparently he plays great defense, that has to at least be like a 50, doesn't it? If not a 55. And then Richard Blyer is a wonderful specialist, lefty, ground ball stud. You see the stuff there? That's all right. The movement and the control, he's pinpoint. He's going to get that ground ball. You're going to roll it over, and our defense going to turn that sucker into outs. Old Dickie B there. So that's the pitching. It's looking pretty good. Now, before this turns into too long of an episode, we're probably going to go over an hour, and that's okay. We're meeting the team today. Let's look at some of our prospects. So let's go to the team home screen here. Now, I did want pictures for everybody. So I'm not going to go through and do it. I'm going to update it later. Oh, wait, no. New fictional picture. I'm fine with fictional pictures, but I want pictures for everybody. So those will be updated next time. I thought I did it, but I think I just did it for major leaguers only. So I'll fix that. And then next episode, you'll definitely see pictures. But let's look at our prospects, because I talked about how Eliezer could be looking over his shoulder for that rotation spot. And that's because we've got guys for days that could come up and take the spot. And one of them is not even listed here. Our top 4 guys are starting pitching prospects. And there's another, actually, who's right here. In fact, he might not be a prospect anymore. He might have expired his prospect status. And he is out for a good while. But, I mean, look, Sixto Sanchez is an absolute beast. Now, I don't know. I guess it doesn't show. Oh, yeah, injury proneness normal. Again, he should probably be higher than that. I don't want him to be. I'm not mad about it. But I still feel like if there is something between normal and fragile, and if there is somebody in the comments, please let me know, then he should probably be that instead of normal. But we'll take it. I'm not pissed. He's a monster. And when he's ready, he's going to come up. He's going to be a stud. If Eliezer is beasting and feasting, then I'll leave him in, and maybe, well, I don't know. I don't want to commit to anything right now, because we'll just see how it is in 2 to 3 months, because there is no reason to really make that decision now. Like, why commit to something when we're so far away from it? Let's get into the prospects. Yuri Perez. Holy smokes. This man is absolutely dominating in real life too. 55 potential, absolute stud, has a ton of potential, and could just be the next big thing for them. He's 6'8", 200, misses bats like you wouldn't believe. To be honest, they sold him a little bit short here. I'm not going to adjust it or anything. He does still have a 55 potential, but he's probably a 40-45 current. I mean, he is absolutely killing it. I was actually just looking at his and Max Meyer's numbers tonight. The 19-year-old, it's a small sample too, so that's why we got to be careful and not say like, oh, he needs to be a 60 right now. No. He still needs to develop. He's in Double A. It's been 17 innings for Perez, but he has a 41% strikeout rate, 7% walk rate, 20% swinging strike rate. Just for context, like a 12% swinging strike rate is pretty good. If you're in double digits, that's solid. But like 12 to 14 is really nice. 20, even in Double A, like, that's wild. And he was just as good last year too at A and high A. He's got a 5.29 ERA so far. I don't care. Like, I didn't even cite the ERA because he has a 2.96 FIP, and those skills are going to bring that ERA down. Max Meyer is my favorite prospect. He might be my favorite pitching prospect in baseball right now, but he's my favorite prospect on this team. Just a scotch ahead of Yuri because he's an absolute beast. Now, this I don't really like, that he's considered a borderline starter. I guess we'll see how it goes. I just don't agree with that, but Again, I'm not going to go in changing stuff. I will leave that. I just think there is no question about whether or not Max Meyer is a starter. He's a starter, so we'll see. We'll get him on the scouting sheet as well, and we'll see what's going down with that. And then Jake Eater, I believe, is out for the year with TJ, but or maybe he was last year. Let me see. Because they have Sixto's injuries, so I don't know why they wouldn't have Jake Eaters. He will require Tommy John surgery as of last year, August 30th, 2021. So we dodged a bullet with that, I guess. They're not making him get TJ for us. Again, I'm not going to complain. We take those. That's a dub. We'll take it. Jake Eater, another just talented arm. And again, I think this team in real life is set up for another Zach Gallen for Jazz Chisholm trade. And don't be surprised if we end up doing one of those. I think that there's a really good shot of that. I don't know who I'm going to trade. That's the tough part, is when I'm playing favorites with all of them. It's so hard to decide who I might want to do that with. So that's the part that I'm going to have to figure out. But I do think that we might be a fit for it. I don't hate the lineup. I think the lineup is certainly capable. I don't know that I'm going to do it before the season. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm not. It's not something that we're going to do before the season. We're going to see where we're at, and we'll assess after. We'll assess after at least a couple months of gameplay. But yeah, Eater looks pretty solid. Might end up being a reliever with a 40 Stammy. That's okay, though. I think it could definitely work for him in the bullpen. And then Edward Cabrera. Now, I think he got his ratings a little bit lower than he should. I think he probably deserves a little bit more love, but that's okay. I accept it. It's coming off of a tough season last year, 26 in the third. I mean, it's not even a season. But talent is certainly there. I think this maybe should already be at 60 with a 65 upside. That's what I would say if these are both going to be 40. But it's okay. You see the 70 fastball. It is great stuff. So I don't want to be too nitpicky. He is outspoken, though. So tell you what, Edward, we don't give a shit about your opinions. So keep them to yourself, bro. Don't be coming in ruffling feathers and saying some dumb shit, okay? Because we don't need that. I don't know why I picked game strategy. I meant to just get him on that scouting report. And then did I get Max Meyer on there? I did. Did I get all four of the prospects? Let's see. I didn't put Eater. I'm fine with not putting Eater on there. Well, no. We might as well. Let's put our scout to work, What are we paying him for? I'm just kidding. So, yeah, those are our top four prospects. I like that. Let's see. How do I go to a full prospect list? Reports. Top prospects. So, the top four are the pitchers, of course. Number 5 is Khalil Watson, the top pick from last year for us. I think he was... Oh, they don't say when he was picked. Was he like the number... early double digits pick? I'm going to look it up just because I care. How do you spell Khalil? K-A-H. Don't some guys spell it K-H-A? Or am I wrong on that? First round, 16th pick. So, and that was that was the 2021, and he got playing time at rookie ball and A ball and did quite well. So he's got plenty of upside as well. Let's get his scouting up to full. Now, I'm not going to do everybody on the prospect list, but this is a favorite of mine, J.J. Bleday. Definitely going to scout him. I just really like him. I can't even really explain it. I don't watch a ton of college baseball, so it's not something where I fell in love with him at Vandy or anything. I just like the player, and I think he's good. And then I went and saw him. I liked him beforehand. Then I saw him at the Arizona Fall League, and I actually ended up going twice this past year, once for the Baseball HQ First Pitch Forum that they do, and then another time with Fangraphs for our group outing, because we are all remote workers online. So every year we have a group outing somewhere, and we went to the Fall League. So I got to go twice, and I saw Bleday both times, and man, I liked him even more seeing him live. So I'm in the bag for Bleday. I will say that for sure. We've got Jose Salas, shortstop here. And we'll just look at the top 10. And so we got Salas, who more of a utility fielder type. He doesn't excel at short, but starting there on the defensive spectrum, and you can work your way down, That's good, right? And you don't want an 18-year-old who's like already relegated to first base DH because then there's no room to go. So if he doesn't quite work out at short, maybe we start looking at him as a center fielder. But I think he can even develop at short and be quite good. Ian Lewis, same type of deal. He's already at short as a youngster, and he can work from there. Nice little upside profile here. I'm unfamiliar with this guy in real life, but I'm intrigued for sure. We got Zach McCambley. I do not know this guy either, so I'm learning about some new guys. He works hard. Maybe he can extract a little extra out of this profile here. Dax Fulton, that's a cool name. And his typical approach is cool, slow, methodical. And when your name is Dax Fulton, it should be, dude. You should just be chill because your name is Dax fucking Fulton. Like, you're already inherently cool. And then Braxton Garrett, I am familiar with him, and he's still got some upside here. Like, he's 24, so he's probably going to be on the major league team at some point this year. But I like where he's at, and I could definitely see him maybe inching up into like the 50 range. But even as a 45, we just talked earlier that 45s can have strong seasons. Don't be surprised if he ends up having some impact for us. And then you can see the rest here. You see Griffin Conine. He is indeed related to Jeff. Peyton Henry, who we just called up to be our backup catcher. This is all we look at on the catcher. We're just looking at the defense, man. If you can hit it all, you got 50 home run with 60 potential. That's incredible. That's incredible. So that's the team. You saw the goals that we've got. Where are those here? Close to 500 ball, upgraded third base. Who is our third baseman right now? BA? They got BA at third. Chill. What do you mean upgrade our third baseman? This guy's an absolute stud. That's ridiculous. I don't subscribe to that. But that's the ball club. Next time out, we'll get into the season. We'll get started. And I don't know exactly how the simming is going to go in terms of, week at a time, game at a time, how we're going to do it. We'll see how it goes. I've got some ideas. I'll hash them out in my head and kind of secure something. But I'm curious your thoughts on the Marlins team, moves you might want to see us make. I'm certainly open to feedback. I'm obviously not going to just do every single thing that is suggested in the comments, but I'm definitely open to it. Like I said, we will be angling for a pitcher for hitter deal at some point. I don't think it needs to be done before the season starts or anything, so there is no rush there. I want to be clear. I don't mind going into battle with this crew. I think this is a decent crew. That's why I like the Marlins in real life this year, especially with their pitching. We're a pitching first team, but I think they have enough offense, and with the additions that they made and the development of some guys, I think there can be a lot there. So that is the meet the team for the Marlins, and next time out, we will get into the season. I think the sim schedule or the upload schedule, I'm thinking about like 3x a week type of deal. I think that's what we're going to start with for now. And we'll see how that goes. So I appreciate you watching. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. There will be more. Take care.